bottoms.
I'm just grateful nobody's in their pajamas. All right.
Yeah, well, we ruined my gimmick because I'm trying to make this gimmicky and it's not working.
No, you're recording.
You're recording. Schmuck.
I am. Technically, I am the one who's recording. We're here with Liza, who is in a long line of people who made the mistake of showing up to this.
Okay.
And we have some casualties. Laura had a little bit of a family issue.
Yeah.
I think Shauna just got tired. And Todd, we don't know where he is, and Sai is getting ready. I don't know what the fuck's going on.
I told
with
Todd. Yeah.
I mean, it's Friday at 9 o'clock. They're probably doing.
Nobody's doing anything,
It's
Liza.
true. Not at our age.
We're all here. This is my Friday night. I'm quite excited.
Yeah.
I'm gonna remind Todd. Just maybe he'll jump in.
Well,
That's
thank
fine.
you
He's
guys
probably
for
gonna ask
having
about
me.
Wawa.
I'm super excited. So
Yeah.
this is the highlight of my last few days. Looking forward to this. I don't know what that says about me and my life, but
Pretty sad.
me.
Yeah. I think one thing me and Leo agree about, getting excited about being on here is sad.
So excited.
All right, so I want to talk about. So the town budget is something I don't have a good command on. Leo, do you have a good command of the town budget and what's going on with it? I
don't really. No, because I haven't been paying attention enough to ask questions. If Liza jumps into it, maybe I can ask some questions. So I don't know I don't know where to start. If you want to brief us and tell us the highlights, maybe.
Yeah, what's going on? And the thing I want to kind of find out too is I guess I saw the questions. So we just posted something about Sai asking some questions about public meeting. Is there going to be a document with the budget? How is this process? What does the process look like? So just give us a rundown on that.
Tell us what to OPRA.
Yeah, Liza, what's going on, man?
That I'm not going to do. So I like to conduct myself in government in a way where people don't have to OPRA anything, and we give the information freely.
Oh, big balls over here. Okay. Wow.
So you haven't missed anything. Long story short, we haven't had a budget meeting yet. Our first public budget meeting, it's a working group meeting, is going to be this coming Monday at 7 o'clock. And it's the first time council has been all together to go over the budget. Now, a lot of other towns have committee forms of government where they have a budget committee, which is a small group of council people, and they sort of hash out the meat of the budget. So by the time it gets to the full council, it's mostly baked. We don't have that. So we've been toying around with different processes in the past years to see what works best. This year, for a variety of reasons, one of which I was not working for 3 weeks in January during a vital budget period.
Oh yeah, tell us again. Yeah.
Yeah, what happened there, Liza?
That we're
Did you go on vacation? Vacation?
It was far from a vacation. We're a little behind. But this public meeting is going to be the first time council will have discussed the documents publicly. And our CFO, we do have a outside private entity CFO firm right now. CFOs are very hard to find right now for municipalities all over the state. He's going to be putting together a PowerPoint presentation, copies of which we will have for the public. Now, this is not going to go into detail about each department because this is not even budget introduction. It's not that this is the first time council is really talking about it. But it's going to give everybody a broad picture of the draft as is. Here's the average tax increase. Here's the municipal tax rate. Here's what the appropriations and the levy cap is and what it means for you if we can bank more cap each year. And inflation sucks. Everything's more expensive now, et cetera, et cetera. So it's going to be about a 12-page PowerPoint that will give people something to read along with while we're watching the meeting.
So who comes up with the draft of this document? Is it the CFO guy, and then it's the town council? Then that kind of questions and chops. It's the sort of draft document is produced by CFO person, and then the town council gets its hands on it, and it goes from there.
That's how we're working it now. Yes, okay. And then I'm going to get feedback from the group collectively at Monday's meeting, and then we'll go back, and if there was consensus okay, we want this department's budget and this line item cut by a certain amount, we'll go back and cut it, make those changes, so that by the time we have budget introduction, which is April 11th, we wanted to have it April 4th, but that's spring break, cannot have it over spring break. That will be mostly a finished project. product. And then, between the meeting Monday and introduction, there's plenty of time for the public to comment, write in, hear what's going on, that type of thing. Also on Monday, our department heads are all going to be present to answer questions, because I am a firm believer in, as are our department heads, they are the ones most proficient in their needs and why they need things. So it makes sense that they would be there to answer council questions to the most accurate they possibly can if they have any questions about specific budget asks. So they will be.
Would they be fielding questions from the budget, Liza, or public,
Yes.
or no? Oh, they will?
The department heads?
Yeah.
Didn't think that far through.
I mean, I'm not saying they should. I'm just curious as to whether they would or not.
Yeah, possibly. I believe we did this way in 2019, and I believe they did. Did. I mean, they're the ones that know their budget the best, so they should answer most of the questions about it.
And how many meetings total on the budget?
So we're doing 3. So this public working group, and then an introduction, and then adoption.
Okay.
Also, what we're going to try to do is, because we are late and we haven't done this before, but our auditor told us we could do it, and it was like eye-opening. Why the hell haven't we done this before? Before the full budget passes, if there's capital money that the council can totally agree on, like say, we know for a fact we're going to spend $500,000 on roads, we can pass that ordinance before waiting for the rest of the budget to pass. So we can start paving roads earlier. So that's my goal this year. I would have liked to have done it by now, but again, things happened, because we want to start road paving earlier. By the time the budget passes, by the time you go out to bid for these projects, you finally get contractors to come in, it's like September, and then it's snowing soon. So we're trying to start all those infrastructure projects a little earlier.
So I guess, John, just interrupt me if you have any questions. I don't know how well you could speak into it. What I imagine the sewer thing is going to be a budget priority, and the municipal buildings a budget priority. What else is is there anything that people might notice that's different in terms of what the town is investing in, or what we're looking at over the next year?
Sure. So you're right. It's mostly sewer. Our department heads are really, really good. They are used to working on shoestring budgets. They don't ask for things they don't need. So it's very hard to prioritize things when our department heads, they don't ask for fluff or for nice to haves. They ask for things that absolutely they need or will make their jobs more efficient and more effective. A lot of the money over the next few years is anticipated to be going to the sewer plant so we can get that building up to speed. The council may have more information soon, but in a nutshell, there's no money in the budget specifically for the municipal complex. That's sort of a separate track with its separate ordinance money, and we're going through the claims process now and trying to get Epic back to fix all the crap that they never did right in the first place. It's like the bane of my existence, this building. But it's mainly sewer and infrastructure. There's a lot of roads we want to keep paving. There's infrastructure. For the past 4 years, we've tried to put about around 200,000, 100 to 200,000 every year for pocket drainage projects. These are small drainage projects, but they make a big difference in a lot of parts of town if you can just make little tweaks and fix the drainage elsewhere. And then we have the normal infrastructure grants that we apply for each year, some of which require a match and some of which don't. But infrastructure and really, safety, those are the priorities.
I don't know if you can, but is there sort of a number that's being thrown around in terms of tax increase at all, Liza, or is that not something that's been discussed yet?
So the draft as it is now, and I can't remember because I feel like we're making changes like every second. Mm-hmm. But it will be around the same. I don't want anybody to get mad at me for preempting it. We're shooting to have it be around the same as it was last year, which I think was like 2.68%. Okay. That's a lot of creativity to do that with all of our needs and inflation. And the state, unfortunately, is not letting us go over the normal cap because of inflation. So a lot of towns are struggling. Luckily, in the past few years, we increased our sewer connection fees. We have these pilots coming on from redevelopment projects. So we have more surplus than ever before. We're allowed to take from that surplus to offset more of a tax increase. So even though we're paying for more because things cost more or because we just have more projects, taking from that surplus, or we call it current fund, allows us to still spend more to get those things done, but keep the tax increase as low as we can given the needs. So
So
How long? I'm sorry, John. Go ahead.
they won't let you go above the cap, not even if you request it. What is it, 2%? Right? Always?
no, so there's a calculation each year in terms of the appropriation cap, and the state gives you that calculation. That calculation is different. Nobody really cares except for CFOs what's involved in that calculation. So essentially, when we first threw everybody's needs into the budget, I went through with our finance team and we were totally over the cap. But we just put everybody's request in first, see where we are so that I have an idea of, okay, now I know how much we need to cut. And the more we can cut from the budget, the more under the cap you are, the more you can bank for the following year, which allows you to use some of that cap. It's like a reserve to, again, offset any tax increase that the taxpayers might shoulder.
Is that what they call cap banking? Is that what that was?
Yes.
That they
Yes.
call cap banking?
Porter loves this question.
Yeah.
Who loves this question?
Forger.
Oh, Forger, yeah.
So you brought up a good point. This is probably dovetailing to something later. But I only realized this recently, but road construction stuff stops in the winter unless it's emergency or repair.
Yes.
So there's no payment until what, April?
As asphalt operations shut down.
Right. Oh, okay.
So
All right.
normally it's weather dependent, normally end of March, April. Mhm.
March, April, depending on
And they
what
open
the
back
spring's
up.
been. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You answered the cap question. All right.
Or you're paying a real heavy premium to try to get asphalt from somewhere over the winter.
John, are you done hogging the whole show?
Yeah. No, I'll get back in. Thanks. Appreciate it.
So the other the other question I had, I guess, was how long is this sewage thing going to go? Like, what's the anticipated time frame? Like, when can we say, okay, we're done with like any sort of increases, and it's going to go back to sort of normal spending on this shit?
It would depend on how quickly we fix everything versus phasing it out. Like the danger in bonding too much or borrowing for too much at one time is your credit rating is going to go down, and then your ability to borrow is not that great. So we really have to balance that debt with other debt from the municipal complex and everything else, sort of look at all that debt along with the revenues that are coming in to make sure that we're not getting ourselves in such a position where as the tax increase because of this debt that the taxpayers will feel is going to be astronomical in any of the coming years. So that's what we're trying to avoid. Because once you start paying off debt and it sort of rolls off, or you start paying off different portions of your debt in different years, you want to make sure that the taxpayer doesn't feel a heavy brunt of it in any one year. So I don't know. Again, we're trying to fix the emergent situations now because we don't have like $10 million or whatever it is to fix everything to the extent it ultimately, in an ideal world, could be fixed if everything was shiny and new.
So hold on, I went off into you talking numbers, and this is like old math class, so I kind of dazed off.
That's another way of saying I'm boring.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what he's saying, Liza.
Totally
Yep.
He's a very rude
Nailed it.
person. He's a very rude person.
Shut up.
See?
I mean, who wants to talk about the budget?
I love it.
abusive.
It's very exciting stuff.
Anyway.
Did you have a question, John, or did you just want to?
Now I forgot.
Okay. I want to talk about the Westminster thing. So this whole thing feels kind of so this feels like shady, right? So I don't know, these guys, I like that. Who's that older gentleman who was doing that whole thing on the video?
Was it the
Jerry, is that his
developer's
name?
attorney? August?
No, man, the video that you did with the two people.
Oh,
It's Jerry.
I like that guy. He's very Americana.
Yeah.
Jerry's awesome.
He's a
very,
cool guy.
that whole thing was very Americana.
He didn't want to speak, but I thought he was great.
I thought he was great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked him.
That was a pretty cool on-site interview. I think we should do more of those. I'm gonna get out.
But
in the woods
anyway, so like he gets all these people, or I don't know if there's going to be all these people, but he gets his word out, and all of a sudden this shit gets canceled, and then now it's like not Zoom anymore. They're requiring people to come in. It feels shady to me, man.
I had my conspiracy theory hat on at first too, but I think it was just there was a formality that was missed from what their attorney was saying. Is I think some notices didn't meet the deadlines, and I think they mentioned OPRA, and they had to be done for a certain time period before that.
Why aren't they allowing Zoom? Do you know?
I don't know. I think I think they wanted to provide the opportunity to have it in person, but there is a Zoom. You just can't participate from
Yes,
Zoom.
I think they're going to the model that everybody's been using. They're just like the last board to finally go from all virtual to this hybrid model.
Oh, it's going to be hybrid. Okay.
Yeah,
Because
well,
it said in person only from what I read, or from what I read.
in-person only if you want to participate, just
Yeah.
like the planning board, the township council. Like you can watch and listen remotely, but if you want to speak, you need to be in person.
Okay. So John, or Liza, can you guys just give a rundown for people who haven't seen the video, and Jerry talking about this and I forgot the other two people that were on the video. Could you just give it's like there's a developer that bought a shit ton of land. What's going on with that?
I think what it is just a high profile subdivision project. And this particular project clears out basically there's one house where the caretaker for Westminster used to live, and his lot's heavily forested. And then the other 4.5, it's a 5+ acre spot that they're going to clear all the trees will get cleared out. So the neighbors are upset because that forest is right on their property. So it's a massive difference. It also involves a road entry, which also requires trees to be cut down on the front of their property so that you can get a line of sight, because either the traffic study or the county requires it so that you can see from both directions to exit the new dead end street that they're going to put in there. So it's one of those developments that has a lot going on. There's a slope they have to build in that requires a variance because it's quite steep up to the parking lot of the Westminster lot. There's total lot coverage, which is and we mentioned this in the video, which is total lot coverage is a very common variance to seek. So and I think I mentioned in the video, my house is outside the lines, for instance. Well, this is a little bit different, but my house sits outside the lines for setback, and I went up. I didn't add to my house, and I still had to get a variance. So a lot of how that is set up gets you into the zoning board, and you're before the board, and you're not really adding to it. They're going over total lot coverage, which is also common in Berkeley Heights. So there's a couple variances going on, and most of the people speaking up that are neighbors, but also people are starting to recognize the flooding issues that some of these developments do cause by when the trees don't get replaced. Because if you take over 200 trees down, and whatever number of them are mature, it's 100 gallons a day, a tree of water you're removing from a lot that sits over 100 feet above downtown. So it's all downhill from there to the downtown part of Berkeley Heights. There's a lot to it. They have to appreciate all those consequences if they're going to build.
Can I just have a PSA here about the trees? Our soil is crap here in town, and everybody needs to understand the more trees you pull out, the less that crap soil is going to absorb, which means you're going to have water on your property, and our soil is like clay. So we are really trying to embark with the Environmental Commission, and this is where actually this law John has been talking about, the tree ordinance. We are really trying to educate people. Please do not take trees out unless they are a danger to person or your home, because they soak up the water that a lot of the soil cannot, and they really do help with water runoff, which is a terrible problem in this town. Done with a PSA. Thank you.
Good plug. Thank you.
As long as I don't have like communists try to plant trees on my lawn.
I'm going to be over on your house tonight.
All right. I don't want any commies with their trees at my lawn.
6 new trees on your front yard, jerk.
Just don't cut them down, because we're going to come stalk you if you try to cut them down without a permit.
Yes.
Maybe I'd like to be stalked.
And if
at least someone's going to pay attention to me. That would be nice.
You need a permit to cut trees down.
But you promise if I cut trees down, you guys will stalk me.
So, okay. To the
That's
permit.
A promise?
So this is opinion only, but my position on the tree ordinance has been to reduce the burden on, and this is where it gets dodgy, on the residents, because part of it is you don't want to burden the residents. You want them to you want good compliance. You want them to get the permit. It should be cheap and easy to do, so that if they have to remove a tree, it's a non-issue to get the permit. It doesn't cost anything. You start getting into bigger developers and they clear cut because that's an easier avenue, and then just pay to the tree trust fund.
That's what we really need to prevent is this clear cutting at a convenience. And it's terrible. I mean, everybody's seen what happens in town when this happens, and we love our trees. So we need to do everything we can to try to preserve as many as possible.
So is there a way out for this developer in terms of like, can we keep those trees while this guy does what he fucking wants to do? Like, what does it come down to? Like, Is it just we don't let them build, or?
So my understanding, and just I have not giving an opinion on this. I'm just giving the facts of logistics. It's my so it's up to the zoning board of adjustment to decide whether or not to approve this application. And if they approve the application, John, I'm not sure if it goes back to the planning board, but the zoning board is the first step to either approve or disapprove.
Okay.
If
It's not black and white. There's no nuance to it.
And if they disapprove of it, I guess there's always an option for the person putting in the permit to revise plans and go back before the board, but I have no idea what this
It shouldn't come back to the planning board. I think it was already there, and they decided, this is before I was on it, they decided that it should be at the zoning board for some reason. I'm not sure what it was, but
if there's something ultimately we can do in the long term to prevent that corner from being developed by with condos or something, which is always the fear.
Is that what these guys want to do? Is like
no, nobody wants to develop it, but we want the church to be successful, and that's the other side of the token. When you talk to people, is you don't want the church to suffer. So the other,
as Jesus suffered,
right?
Maybe not quite as Jesus suffered. Like that was painful.
Would you go to church for once? Jesus,
like really painful.
I've gone to church.
Easter, they show lots of specials about that around Easter time, JP. So
they do.
It's true. Easter's
and we don't need to do that to Westminster.
But yeah, we want to help the church. So the thing is you want them to not. They needed an infusion of cash apparently. But you don't want to see the same thing happen 10 years down the road where the rest of it gets developed. So you want to help them out.
All right, let's move on to is it weird, Liza, to be around them? Like the whole group of, after all the shit that happened, like in January and everything, is it kind of awkward?
A little bit.
That's just fine.
A little bit.
No, I want to. We'll tell what goes on. Do you guys make faces at each other, give each other the finger under the table? Like what goes on?
No, I would never do something like that. I would never.
I'm not implying that you would.
What I do want to say, if I can use this platform for this, that was probably one of the worst times I've ever had in my life. I want to thank and I said this in the tap video too. I just want to thank everybody who sent words of support to me over text message, Facebook message, email, people who wrote to TAP, people who wrote to council, people who stood up for me on January 4th. And January 17th, dates that will forever be burned into my memory. That is what really kept me afloat and proved to me that what I'm doing makes a difference. And you guys, the residents, you're the reason that I work so hard. So the fact that I was appreciated so much by the people that stood up and so many others who didn't, but sent me messages behind the scenes was, I don't want to say it made it worth it, but because it was really painful, but it did really just show me that what I'm doing is making a difference. So I just need to keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, it must have felt like a good vindication at the end of it,
Yeah, I mean, it was amazing. I didn't even know who some of these people were who were writing into council or who were standing up. A little thing like making sure I fixed their street light. I need to not underestimate the impact, I guess, that these little things that government can do for residents, because for them, it might be a big deal. Maybe they feel safer because they have a street light now on their street, or maybe they feel safer now because there's rocks on the side of their roads. They don't go over the cliff onto the highway, and our DPW finally did it after how many years? So it was just great. And you guys are the people that I do this job for. So as long as you're happy, I'm going to keep doing this.
And when you say you people, you mean me.
I just unblocked you after 3 years. So
right.
yes.
Me and Liza had a big fight, but we're not going to get into it.
I purposefully redirected the Easter bunny the first year of COVID from your house. You remember that?
I do remember that.
What?
No, I'm still believing what I believed about that, but I don't think you had anything to do with it. I don't think it was you.
No.
But we're not going to go into that tonight.
No. But
why not?
It was crappy.
Oh no, John, Leo, it would not be good.
Get the tinfoil hats on.
Leo, don't do it. Yeah.
All right. You get along with John Paul. You get along to Cy and Tom M. They come after you too, like the Board of Ed. They come over. They give you guys.
I don't come after people. Well, first of all, Cy and Tom, We just come. For me, I'm going to speak for myself specifically. I come after policies. Like once a policy's changed, man, I'm done. Like I'm
And
cool with.
transparency.
You know what? I actually want to say something to you guys about this and give you a little bit of kudos, I think. It makes me upset, and I can't weigh in because of my position. So I sort of try to just watch what goes on at the Board of Ed and try to stand. But I have 2 kids in the system, right? So my
Yeah, you have a right as much as anybody, Liza, to say
Right.
something. Yeah.
But let's say this, I have learned since I've been in this job that groups that are labeled angry parents or fringe or whatever other names might be called for them, most of the time where there's smoke, there's fire. And I have found that to be true in some things here. So everybody's opinion should be respected. And JP, to your point, if you're going after policies, like that's where the focus should be. I understand people might disagree with the approach some people take.
Well, why can't they take a nice approach? Why
And I
can't they-
understand that, but
Why can't John Paul take a nicer approach? I mean, that's all. That's all we.
I
ask.
don't think I'm
Be nice.
mean. Like I honestly don't think I'm like. I don't think
Yes.
I'm mean to people. You think
Got
I'm
him.
mean?
Got
Liza,
him.
well,
You
I think
inside.
Liza
Calm
thinks I'm
down.
mean.
Sit down.
I'm not
I don't-
weighing in on this.
I don't call people names.
No.
I
You
understand.
don't.
There is a way to have civil discourse and effective, powerful civil discourse with still being respectful of people and trying to make change. Understandably, there's a frustration when an attempt to make change just keeps getting blocked and people are treated with disrespect and eye rolls and whatnot. And
Yeah, exactly.
John, I thought long and hard about this. And I mean, one time I told Sai, I'm like, I think you were pestering. There was a time at the Board of Ed where I told her to sit down because I think she was pestering. She was going on a little too long. But it's the chicken and the egg. Which came first? Is Sai like that? And then I think about Sai and Tom M. And that was why I asked this question. Is like they aren't the same way now at the town hall side as they were back in 16 or 15. They were gung ho over here.
And can I just say, we take that, Angie and I take that
It's a
as
good
a little
measure.
bit of a credit.
It's a good
I'm like,
measure.
okay.
And I
They
think
trust us enough to be running things right now. They don't feel like they constantly have
they can
to be.
sense
And I
shitty
don't
transparency.
trust
They can
us.
sense
Trust
shitty
us.
transparency. Right. They know when there's bad transparency. And I think you let them contribute too when they have good ideas. And that's important. I think that's all they want. I think it's all we want. It's like, hey, we can help you a little bit here. Give us a couple minutes and use this as a resource.
That's
Yeah, I mean they
down.
were right about a lot of shit. I mean, to be honest with you, so I don't know. I mean, I as far
Nice.
as like what did I do?
This
You
is my
always did something.
stronger
Stronger together.
together. We are stronger together.
Right, I agree. And I think the
Andy
more
and
you
We actually wanted to bring Tom Forger in to help with like a budget audit the first year we came into office because he's so knowledgeable and he is so much.
No. We don't put him on budget councils. We don't do a budget. He
No,
doesn't go
I'm
on
just
budget committees.
saying,
He doesn't have the acumen for it.
but it would be nice. People have proficiencies and expertise in certain things, and if we can utilize those things to the benefit of the town, then maybe we should explore those options a little bit.
I wonder if my
yeah, I
slides
mean,
have them
for
posted
me, I
well.
feel comfortable with like the Toms and with Cy and with different people like having their eye on shit. Like in terms of like, I just think you need people to do that, right? I mean, I'm going to tell you that I have a lot more confidence in the town government than I do in our Board of Ed, simply because that's town government is just that much like. There's no hiding. It's out there, and I don't necessarily have a problem if you pass something that I disagree with.
As long as you can explain it.
Well, or as long as you can allow me to make my argument without getting personal. Like I went after like the plastic bag ban, like crazy. I was so pissed off about that. I still think it's so stupid.
Yeah.
But I don't think there were ever any tactics that were used when I was doing that are now being employed by the Board of Ed and whatever. So if we disagree and you allow, as long as you allow sort of a discourse and a strong, firm debate, at the end of the day, I'm always going to respect you.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And you can't treat people like they're lesser than someone else. Like
that drives me nuts.
It's common decency and humanity. I think
that's mostly what I got.
I'll stop there.
That's what I get
Yeah.
upset with. Is I know better than you.
So, Liza, how many OPRA assistants work in the town? Like, is there a position called an OPRA assistant?
Ooh, burn 0. Oh, you got
0.
We couldn't hear you. We couldn't hear that, Liza.
We don't have anyone with a title of Oprah assistant.
How many?
And how many OPRA? Do
Liza?
you know off the top of your head how many OPRAs come in?
I feel like these answers could get me in trouble.
I think there are 40. John Leo came up with.
I
Like
may
30 or
have done
40.
some research.
I actually do not know. Anna, our clerk, who is amazing, she deals with all the OPRAs. I think some probably come in for the police, and she deals with the police chief with them. I only know of OPRAs if somebody OPRAs my email.
That's burn. A question. And it deals with police OPRAs as well.
Yeah, the police OPRAs come through Anna as the records
Wow.
custodian. All the OPRAs have to go.
Yeah, that's a lot of OPRA requests
That's a
she's
lot.
handling.
Because
Yeah.
And
you
a
also
lot of OPRAs, honestly, are things like real estate agents
estate.
want to check on open permits for properties instead of checking themselves on SDL. So it's a lot of that sort of not so exciting stuff too.
I'd do it.
Yeah.
For
All right.
the right price.
Anything else
Paying
that
the
we
right
need to
price.
talk about? I mean, we have Liza on, John. So like,
I was in Angie's office, so I got everything I need to know. I got in that.
I don't know.
drawer.
I don't feel like we uncovered any scandals or anything. I feel like
I'm
we're
keeping them
gonna-
close to my vest for now. I got what
we're
I
gonna
need.
keep this disappointment. Okay.
Any
Liza,
scandals? No, I don't know if there's any scandals. I mean, no. No,
Nothing I
we're
can
just,
think
you
of.
know what?
No.
We are always moving to 300% to try to get more for the town, and we're just gonna keep doing that. I
Okay.
really take it as a vote of confidence that the watchdogs in town don't feel like they have to, you know, I don't want to say constantly ask us things because that's fine, but let's just say we have noticed that they are not at the same level of activity as they were in previous years. And we take that as a compliment and thank you for your having trust in us to run your government efficiently and transparently and effectively.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know if I would consider myself a watchdog, but I feel like, again, like I said, I think I have a much greater level of confidence in town government than I did. When was the last guy? When did Angie first take office?
2019.
Yeah, then I did in 2019.
19. Mhm.
All right, Liza, thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me,
Sorry,
guys.
John
Thanks,
Leo
Liza.
showed up.
Yeah.
What are you gonna
I'm
do?
here
I apologize for him being here.
because I
Um,
Happy birthday, Will.
happy
oh,
birthday.
yeah, that's old, but this is the background.
Okay.
Well,
So-
it's
Alright, guys,
identifying
thank you.
information
Go
on there. I
do
need to start
something
plugging
else.
this out.
She's
We
trying to
should say
leave, John.
stuff
She's
about
trying to
it.
leave, and you keep hooking
Okay,
her back
I
in.
mean, it's
All right.
9:40. What am I gonna do? I'm
We
gonna
can,
go
this
check
needs to be
it out.
more
No, you did.
gimmicky.
Look,
Guys,
who's boring
more
who
gimmicky.
now, John? Who's boring who?
Pajamas next time.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I
Okay.
have
All right.
pajama pants on.
That does nothing for us.
Oh, okay.
I didn't prepare.
Why did I not get any questions like who would you rather eat, your child or your dog?
Because
Oh,
you
I
were
mean,
present for those.
You were, yeah. I mean, so I think we pissed off a lot of Norwegians when Angie said that John Leo was her favorite Norwegian poet. I think there's
I
like
think it was
she
a
might
great
have trouble
answer.
with that demographic in the next election.
Oh, I can
Not so
reveal.
we have
I can reveal a massive personal note that I
What?
discovered this week that I'm related to Elvis Presley.
What?
Are you proud of that?
Yes,
He was kind of a douchebag.
I don't care. I'm getting in on Graceland because apparently that's going to fall apart soon. And some family needs to step up and take that.
He was a dick. All right.
Hey, it's eighth cousin. It's
But
not
I mean, you know what? It doesn't surprise me, actually. So
whatever. That was my
everything
big
makes
reveal.
sense now.
All right,
Oh my
that's going to get viewership way up.
Yeah.
All right. I'm sorry we didn't have any funny questions for you, Liza.
Hey, it's fine. It's fine.
No.
I thought
All
Budget
right.
was
Thanks so
hilarious.
much for having me, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you again, everybody who
Might
helped
watch
in that
the five people who will watch.
5 people that'll watch this.
Good.
All right.
30
Bye, guys.